Are you a songwriter or music maker who struggles to write great songs consistently? And then you go listen to songs written by some of your favorite artists and you wonder, how do they make it sound so simple? Well, my name's Hale, Billboard charting producer-songwriter here in Nashville, Tennessee, and this was me at the beginning of my music career. But in today's video, we're joined by my good friend, songwriter and songwriting coach Ross King, teaching you the 4 ingredients you need to become a successful songwriter and what we're calling the successful songwriter cocktail. And the best part is you can instantly apply the techniques from this video to get better results. Additionally, we have a special gift for viewers of this video. Ross has a songwriting course called Tools Not Rules. It's normally $97, but just for viewers of this video, you can get that course for only $49. To learn more about that and to get the special discount code, go ahead and click on the link down in the description below. But without any further ado, let's get into this video so you can start leveling up your songwriting right now. Ross, what in the world's a successful songwriting cocktail?
So the reason why I call it a cocktail is because if it was a recipe, it's all very specific measurements and all that. But in a cocktail, look, you could have more lime juice, a little bit less vodka, you could have more, bitters, whatever, right? And so I say cocktail because these are 4 components that belong in the formula, but they can be varying sizes, and some people have more of one and less of a different one.
Ingredient number 1 is raw talent. Ross, talk to us about that ingredient.
So raw talent just means your skills, your basic skill set in the medium that you're working in, right? So if it's music, obviously, can you play? Can you sing? Do you know how to craft a song? Just basic talent.
Ingredient number 2 is work ethic. Talk to us about that one.
Right. So this is, if you've read anything about, learning how to do something well, this is your 10,000 hours. This is, are you going to put in time to learn, to sweat through it, to keep working whenever you're feeling uninspired? This is, how dedicated and how devoted and how persevering are you in getting better at something?
Yeah, and that leads us to ingredient number 3, which is how you are in the room. What does that
so
even
I
mean?
have this weird thing I say, how are you in a room? And I just mean any room for the medium. So a room, if it's YouTube, it's how are you at being on camera? If it's
not very good.
Yeah, if it's songwriting, it's, can you create in a room in a way that's personable? This is kind of social skills, but it's also, can you be on stage? If you're a performer, can you sell what you do to people? Explain it to them. Can you have lunch with people and talk about your medium? Can you be in a collaborative situation and be someone who's easy to work with? So in whatever room is the primary context for your skill set, how are you in that room? So again, it's kind of just social skills.
Yeah, and ingredient number 4 is my personal favorite ingredient. It depends how you look at it. Either like the spirit, the most important thing, or like the fancy garnish on top. Yeah. But it's my personal favorite, no matter how you look at it. That is the one and only, the suck meter. Ross, you need to copyright the suck meter. What is the suck meter?
Well, part of why you like it is because you have a really good one, right? And so the suck meter is just a kind of a crass way of saying quality control. So many people that we have worked with, and even maybe people that we have been, vacillate between these extremes of everything I'm doing is awesome, everything I'm doing sucks. And they don't have a real, true, authentic, self-aware sense of what they're making, right? And this is really the main one I teach whenever I'm doing my own coaching stuff. I don't think I can make your raw talent much better. I can tell you how to refine it. I don't think I can really make you work harder. I can tell you that you should. And I don't think I can really improve your social skills. That's for a therapist or your social group. But a suck meter, I can help people, and we can learn as people how to be better quality controllers of our own work.
Yeah, so Ross, if you were going to focus on one of those 4 components to deep dive on, to really spend the time and effort to improve your songwriting on, I'm hearing you say that you should focus primarily on the suck meter.
Yeah, because it's something that is easy to work on.
So talk to us, how do you help somebody raise their suck meter? What does that look like?
There's 2 simple exercises that I have people engage in to get better at having a good suck meter, all right? And so the first is this. I ask people that I'm working with, tell me who your favorite artist is, someone who you think can do no wrong, someone who you've been devoted to, someone you're a true fan of, right? And so they might say John Mayer or something, right? And so I will say, great. Now tell me who your least favorite artist is, someone who you think, you don't know why they're famous, you don't know how they got where they got, you think they're gaming the system because they're not any good. And when they list those 2 people, and then maybe they say Taylor Swift or whatever, I don't know. So I would go back and say, all right, now, John Mayer's your favorite. Tell me something terrible John Mayer has done. musically. Tell me his worst song. And don't be snarky about it. Don't be like, well, it's really a great song, but people just don't get it. No, tell me something really that he did that you think is a poor decision. And now tell me why it's no good. And tell me what mistakes John Mayer or whoever collaborated with him in the process did to make that song not good. And then the opposite.
What do you find? Like, what do people tell you when you have them do that a lot of times?
Well, they get mad because truly loyal people don't want to talk about how their favorite artist did something that sucked, right? But they all have. And what it shows is it makes them look honestly at something without loyalty, without affection or whatever, right? And they're looking at something sort of objectively and saying, okay, this song isn't great. And here's the kind of thing that even a great person can do wrong, right? And then I flip it and I say, all right, now you've told me that you think this artist, Taylor Swift, shouldn't be as famous as she is or whatever, right? And I don't know why people like her. She's not good, whatever. Okay, now I do the opposite thing and I say, now tell me something great that Taylor Swift has done. And don't be snarky. Don't say, well, people just fell for it because they're suckers. No, tell me something excellent that she's done and tell me why it's excellent. Tell me why it's successful. Tell me why it's working. And be as objective and sincere and sort of gracious as you can be. And the reason why I do this, Christian, is if you can't speak honestly about your favorite and least favorite stuff and look objectively at it, you'll never look objectively and honestly at your own stuff. Because from day to day, you're gonna be your least favorite artist and your most favorite artist. It's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
So this teaches people to like learn how to look at things objectively without the passion, without the loyalty, without the insecurity.
Yeah, so then after they've looked at some examples, both good and bad, from some of their favorite artists, how do you take that and start applying that to your own work practically and tactically?
So what I do is I ask a songwriter to send me 5 to 7 to 10 songs or whatever. And I say, I'm going to grade all these songs, all right? And invariably there's going to be a few that I think are really stronger, and a few that I think are really weak. And when I give those back to them, I tell them what's strong and what's weak, and I ask them, what's the difference? You hear me saying this is strong and this is weak. Maybe you didn't know until I said this, and I'm just one person, by the way. But maybe you hadn't thought this one's great. These 3 are really strong. These are mediocre. These are not good. Maybe you'd never made those assessments. And I say, you tell me why I'm saying that. And of course, I'll have them go into find someone else and do the same thing. Hey, find someone who's an honest critic and have them do this. But once you get this sense of like these tend to be ones that people like, these tend to be ones that people don't like, I make them think about, what is it that you think? Why do you think I thought these were great and these weren't great? And if you can do that honestly and start looking at, they tend to like the choruses of these, or they tend to like the way that, that the vocal arrangement was, or production, or whatever it is, however it's being assessed, they look at it and say, okay, I see some strengths here that I maybe wouldn't have seen until someone told me. And so those are basic exercises that I do.
Yeah, for sure. And having this conversation with Ross for years now, off camera, one of the things that I love that you say is the difference between pro songwriters and amateur songwriters is only that pros have a higher suck meter.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that. Like, what does that mean? But I think it's so true.
Right. So think about all these other things that we have said, and the reason why I called it a cocktail. So you've got raw talent. You have how hard someone can work, their work ethic. You have how are they in a room, and you have suck meter. Well, I've been around people, and you have too, who have varying levels of all these things, right? And so you might have someone who's so talented in their musical skill, and their output is prolific, it's high, they are putting out a ton of stuff, right? And they're working hard at it, and they're even cool in the room. But in a room, and you've been in these rooms, there's 4 people in a room writing a song, and that one person is the only person who thinks it's great. And they're so good at doing it. See, here's what's really difficult. If you are awesome at doing it, everything you do sounds good. Even when at its base level, it's not that good, right? You've heard people say, oh, that person's so good, such a good singer, they can sing the phone book, right? Or, the phone book, whatever that is, right? But sing a dictionary, right? And if that person is so good at their raw talent, they can deliver something in a convincing way that isn't necessarily great, right? And if they're a hard working person, they can work so hard that they become passionate and unable to objectively look at it. How are you in a room? If they can argue you into believing that it's good, well, that's a skill, but it's not a great skill for marketing songs or for writing great songs. So these other 3 skills can be really high, but if they can't know what's good, it doesn't matter, because if their output is super high, but their suck meter is terrible, then they'll have a bunch of songs, and every so often something great pops up, but a lot of stuff that's not great pops up, and that person doesn't know the difference.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna hop on and say, like, we've both worked with younger developing songwriters. We've both been those songwriters years and years ago. And I think that's the biggest thing that I notice when I'm working with a new songwriter. They might have a stroke of brilliance in the writing room and not even know that that's the brilliant thing.
Right.
And then 10 minutes later might throw out, like, it's just one person's opinion, but what most professionals in the room might think is a terrible idea.
Right.
And they're fixated on thinking that's the thing. And it's like, no, like, you just showed that you're capable of putting out the brilliant thing and you didn't even know it.
Right.
But you're more fixated and focused on going down this road of the thing
Right.
that's not the thing. So
Right, because it works both ways, right? I was focused more on saying, what if they think something that they did is great and it actually sucks? But it works the other way too. You have folks who will walk into a room with you, or you'll send you a little demo beforehand, or a phone memo, and it'll be something wonderful. They'll have 4 ideas and be like, well, this one last one's not that great. And you're like, no, that one's great. So we have to learn to be honest critics of our own work, and able to look deeply past the passion, past what matters to us or feels good to us, to what's actual, more objective, quality work.
yeah, to that point, and those of you that have been around the channel for a little while now, whether I'm talking about vocal editing, vocal production, vocal mixing, drum videos, like, I've said this quite a few times across the channel. And frankly, I think I've given Ross credit for this before on the channel. It's come straight from this man. But it really is this simple to succeed in songwriting, production, really life in general, is just have a high bar.
Yes.
Put your bar up here and say, I am going to do whatever it takes to get my work at or above the bar.
Yes.
And, you know, when it gets hard, when you're in that process of trying to get your work to the bar, if you're trying to get your mix above the bar or the chorus you're writing above the bar, the easy thing to do is to lower your bar. But if you just say, no, here's the standard for my work, I'm keeping it here, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get my work, my quality up here, like, you'll succeed. It's kind of that simple. Now, the practical and tactical is that actually takes a lot of work, and skill, and years and refinement. But, like, philosophically, it's that simple.
Well, yeah, and as you know, Nashville and the music business in general is full of people who are okay at an instrument, but know what sounds great.
Yeah.
Like, you've talked about this, you know, Christian has done sync work where he's the vocalist. Well, Christian's a mediocre singer, okay? That's honest. I mean, you know that. You know that. Yeah. But he knows what sounds good, so he uses his suck meter to fight for the place where his vocal sounds good, the kind of delivery that his vocal sounds good, the vocal chain, all of that, to make it sound good. I'm a mediocre singer, and I'm a mediocre instrumentalist, but if you had me do a demo, I will fight for it. I'll play it a certain way that I know sounds good, using certain microphones, using certain instruments, and I'll sing it a certain way to where you think it's at a quality, it feels like it's at a quality level that is probably better than my raw talent.
Yeah.
Way better. But I fought to make sure I don't give you anything unless it reaches that certain bar that Christian's talking about.
Yeah, for sure. And to that point too, I think one of the smartest things you can do, and I'm more convinced than this of ever, genuinely, is get around people who have been there, done that, who are more experienced than you, who can see the pitfalls you're making and can be honest with you. Ross and I both offer one-on-one coaching in its various forms and fashions. I'm more convinced than ever that investing in coaching, whether it's with one of us or someone else, is one of the best ROIs you can get. This might sound like a funny example, but I play golf. I'm a pretty decent golfer, but have been out of golf for a little bit, but just got back into it in the last couple months. And I picked it up and, like, was pretty good, better than the average person. But there were a few pitfalls I was making in my swing. I would hit like 7 out of 10 shots really good, but 2 or 3 would go, you know, one would be fat, one would be thin. I didn't really know where the ball was going. So I went and took a lesson with a top level golf coach around here. He watched me hit 4 swings, and in 2 minutes was like, come over here. I know how to fix all this. By the end of the hour, I saw huge improvements, and he sent me out the door with, here's what you're going to focus on over the next few months. And I could have gone and bought new golf clubs or music people. You could have bought another guitar or preamps or plugins.
Right.
But spending that money on someone that said, don't even worry about that. Here's where your pitfalls are. Here's how to fix them. And here's what you're going to focus on in the long term. I know it sounds silly because we're talking about a hobby, but, like, it put me on a crystal clear path of, I know exactly what to do. And I never would have realized that on my own. Or if I did, I wouldn't have been sure enough to know that that
Right.
was even what I should focus
And now
on.
you're hitting home runs in the end zone. I'm a big golfer. I'm a big golfer guy. Big golfer.
Sports. But no, I use that silly example to say one of the best ways, if not the best way, you can spend your money. Like I said, it doesn't have to be with one of us.
Yeah.
Someone who you look up to, you respect their work, and you know that they know how to teach you and help you get to where you're going. Incredible
Yes.
ROI.
Collaboration and critique are the two greatest gifts that you can give to yourself. Is work hard with other people who will push and pull and sharpen you, and get honest critics to say honest things to you. You don't have to listen to all those things. You don't have to do what all of them say, but get people's opinions about your work and get them to be honest how much your work moves them, inspires them, compels them.
Yeah, for sure. So you can learn a little bit more about my one-on-one coaching and Ross's one-on-one coaching down in the description below. Like we talked about, get Tools Not Rules over on my website, christianhale.co/Tools Not Rules, 50% off. Thank you so much for offering that to the viewers of this video, Ross. Here's to writing better songs, knowing what those 4 ingredients to the songwriting cocktail are, and most importantly, raising your suck meter. Here's to making better music. We'll see you back here real soon.